Alrighty, everyone, what's going on? Thank you for tuning in to another live stream. We are on day 4 of the IPF Classic Powerlifting World Championship. So we're going to do the day 4 recap today. It's going to be a little bit shorter since there was actually only one session of lifting and then they had their Congress. So it won't be as much stuff that we'll be talking about, but we'll go a little bit into what the Congress is, what they may have discussed, some things I've heard about what's going on over there, any questions you guys got, everything like that. And as always, testing out the live stream over here. So I'm always messing around with different settings and everything like that. I got a little app where I can pull the chat messages into the live stream. So if anyone asks any questions, I can always pull it up in there. We'll test it out, see how it goes, and see if we can answer some questions if anyone has them. So we'll get right into it. I'll switch over to my computer over here. I can even zoom this in a little bit more if you want to get nice and close over here. And so I'll also provide the information for everyone of where you can find stuff. So some people still are asking how to get to the Ipf World's information. The links are all down in the description below as well of how to get to this Good Lift page, how to get to the IPF website to see the nominations, invitation schedule, everything like that, and how to get directly to the IPF YouTube channel. So that's all down there, and I just threw in this link right here into the chat. So when you come here, you can see you have the timetable, the nominations, the link to live stream, and the results. And then they have the rooms here when they're going on. This is from this morning. It's just stuck there, I guess, because, again, they're at 11 p.m. over there, since they're 6 hours ahead of Eastern time. So we'll pull up the timetable real quick so we can review kind of what happened as far as the other days and then what's happening now. So we did the other days recap 1 through 3, and that was the Masters. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday was the Masters. They had their banquet last night. And then here we are on Sunday, which you can see it ended up being just one session, 10 a.m. their time, which is 4 a.m. our time Eastern. And it was just the junior men 53 to 66 and the sub-junior men 53 to 66. And then they had their Congress at 4 p.m. And then that was it. Short day because they had their Congress they had to focus on. And then it'll pick back up here on Monday with the full 3 sessions like normal. So we will go back over here and go to the men's results since we had no women competing. And we'll go over that. So here you go. You got the sub-juniors added in for 53s and 66s. So not that many so far, 3, 5, and 3. And, there wasn't too much to discuss. Like I said, this is going to be a shorter one. So if we look at the 53s, it's difficult enough to find 59 kilo lifters. And so 53s is also difficult to find. It's a little bit easier when it's sub-junior, but it's difficult for them to stay 53s as a junior. And so some of these people will maybe bump up in weight. This lifter was, 42, so it might be easier for them to stay versus this person's like, 52.78. But you can kind of see went 1, 2, 3 on squat, 1, 2, 3 on bench press. And then this lifter, Jacob, had the gold medal in the deadlift. Looks like he broke the continental record in the second and third deadlift. And it's a pretty big difference, 50 kilos and then, 200 kilos. So nothing too special going on over there. Then as we go down to the 59s, okay, you can see, 5 lifters. Again, with 59s, it's difficult. This lifter weighed 57, so they might be able to stay. But some of these lifters, 58.98, 58.97. Some of these lifters may be going up a weight class as they, develop more, put on more muscle mass. Maybe they'll move into the 66 kilo class. And then here you can see, not too much going on here as well, other than, this lifter, Boris from Kazakhstan, they did try and do a 15 kilo jump to try and get to 520 before this lifter, Ved from ROC, had made their third attempt. So if you take out this 12.5 kilos, then you are down to 512.5. So on second attempts, this lifter was at 505, and this lifter was at 512.5. And so this lifter was trying to obviously make their third attempt and put pressure on Ved before they did their third attempt to have to pull for the win. Turned out that they weren't able to get it. So Ved had the win already on the third attempt, and then they just end up pulling whatever they needed. It looks like, they would have gotten it anyways, because there's always a little bit of difference of whether you're pulling this with no pressure to have the title versus you have to pull this for the win. But just on paper, we look at it, this lifter would have had a 520, and then this lifter could have actually gone down to 222.5 and got a 522.5 total and won. So not sure how easy or difficult that 200 was, that they took a 20 kilo jump from first to second and then a 15 kilo jump from second to third, but they still end up getting silver, and they actually got the gold medal in the squat and the gold medal in the bench press. And then from there, not much going on there as far as, third place kind of got that win easily, and then the gap right there. Then we go over to the 66s. Again, only 3 lifters. The lifter who won is 65.9, so that might be another one. Over time they might have to go into the 74s. And then not too much there either. First place lifter Alexander from Kazakhstan got a 530. Then it drops off about 50 kilos to second place, and then it drops off about 17.5 kilos. This lifter Leonid from ROC did try. Again, we don't know how difficult it is. I didn't watch this session, but they took a 15 kilo jump here, 170 to 185 from first to second, then tried a 20 kilo jump from 185 to 205, the big jump, to try and get to 487.5 because they were a heavier lifter to try and pull for silver. So this lifter tried to put the pressure based on this lifter putting in the 220. They thought, okay, Terrence was going to make 220, so we'll try and pull 205 to get to 487.5, and then Terrence would have to change their third attempt and gone up to 222.5, but ended up being that Leonid missed, so it didn't matter for Terrence. They ended up making their third anyways, and Alexander ended up missing their third at 220. So you can see Terrence actually got the gold medal in the deadlift. With the team points and the best lifter, we still got to wait for everything to go down as far as the 74s and up. So not much there. This lifter Ved right now is in first, but we'll see how things play out. Going into the juniors, just taking a look at my live stream real quick, making sure everything is good. Into the juniors, again, we have 2 lifters in the 53s. So it's going to be difficult for them to stay there, especially this lifter's 52.84. But not much contention. Matvey from ROC got gold in squat, bench, deadlift, and the total. And Salomon from Great Britain got the silver across the board. And it was a pretty big gap, about 40 kilos, so nothing really going on there. You go into the 59s. Again, some of these lifters are wearing 58.96. So might be some difficult cuts for these lifters, and they might have to go up in the future. But taking a look at that real quick, maybe it was a little bit more interesting. You have Boris from ROC here. The world record here for the junior 59 was 140, which is actually pretty high world record. And then this lifter Boris ended up doing 142.5, 150, and 151.5. So he broke the world record 3 times there. And this 571.5 as a junior, so last year as junior, but still as a junior lifter, pretty solid. I think the world record's around 585, so they're pretty close to that world record. And it'll be interesting to see once they age into the open how much closer they can get to 600 or maybe get over 600 kilo total. Maybe be the future of that weight class, because who knows how much longer Sergey Fedosenko is going to be able to stick around. So interesting to see how that lifter develops for Russia, seeing if maybe that might be their future champion there. Then you had a little bit of a drop off here, about 25 kilos for second place, and then another 25 kilos for third place. This lifter, went 15 kilos and 15 kilos. It would have given them, 507.5. So they weren't really challenging. They were just going for the medal in the deadlift. So you can see here, the gold was 220, the silver was 220, and the bronze was 215. And this lifter was also trying to pull 215. Looks like they were trying to go first. So they tried to go for the bronze first. They missed. Then this lifter got it. So a little bit of battle there for the deadlift medals. And this lifter, if you actually go back to second attempts, this lifter, when they pulled 215, was actually ahead of everyone. So they actually were in the gold for the deadlift at that position. Then this lifter went and did the 220. They got the gold medal position, and this lifter got dropped to silver. And then finally, Thomas Archer from France, looking at the lot number, did 220, and they ended up getting the gold. Then Boris dropping on a silver, and William dropping to bronze. And then when we go over to the 66 kilo class, now at least we have some more lifters. We have 9 lifters there battling it out. At least these body weights look lower. You see some 64, 64.5, 64, 64.4. So these lifters maybe aren't cutting down as much, and they'll be able to stick around this weight class a little bit longer as they stick around for maybe 1 or 2 more years as a junior, or for these lifters aging out of the juniors. But as far as the squat goes, the first and second place person got first and second, but the fifth place person actually got the bronze medal, and they only got 1 squat, and they missed their second and third. So a little bit interesting there as far as the squat medals. Again, for bench, the first and second place person got second and first in the bench, but actually this last place person here from Japan, Yuji, got the bronze medal, and it looks like it came down towards the end. This lifter here got 135 for fourth, and Yuji got 137.5 for bronze. So again, like I had kind of talked about this yesterday, not all the lifters are coming there necessarily to be in the top as far as the podium and the total. Sometimes lifters come for an individual medal because it can still help with representing their federation and their country. So it might be good for the lifter to be able to bring back a bronze medal in the bench press, and helps maybe for them getting funding or their entire team getting funding. So this lifter got, last place on squat, second to last place on deadlift, last place overall, but was able to get a bronze medal on bench press and be able to take that back to Japan. And then when we go into total, if we go into deadlift, the first place person got bronze. Again, you see, third place got the gold medal in the deadlift, and second place got the silver medal. Fourth place got the silver medal, in deadlift. So again, not the top guys getting them all the medals. So some of these other guys were able to get the medals to take back home. And then, pretty easy win here, up about 30 kilos for Alberto from Spain. But after that was a battle. If you look at this, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit as well, just so we can look at the totals real quick. You can see 585, the finishing numbers, 577, 577, 567, 552, 552, 550. So all of a sudden from second to like eighth, they're all just kind of like stacked there as far as the totals. And then you can see how they were all trying to battle it out. You can see how many missed their third attempts, and a couple of them also missed their second attempts, being a little bit aggressive possibly. We don't know what the failures are for, but like for example, these two lifters right here, they both missed their second and third attempts, and they both ended up with 552.5. But they were trying to, get into the higher ranges. Obviously, from 222 to 247 is going to be 25 kilos. So that gets you to 577, which puts you right into this range here. So interesting battle there of all of them. And it's always fun as the coach of like being able to keep track of everything, because you're not just looking at the person above you. So for example, this person did 255 and they took a 7.5 kilo jump to 262, which would have given them 585 to kind of bump them up here. But what they also have to worry about is, well, what about this lifter here? What about this lifter behind them? What about this lifter behind them? So it's playing, risk and reward of how much do you want to risk taking a big attempt to try and get maybe silver. But the downside of that is if you miss, then other people might backdoor you, might end up in third, fourth, or fifth. So you have to kind of watch all the other lifters at that point on their second attempt, see how easy or difficult that was, to try and feel out how much more you think they have in them. And then also know your own lifter, watch their second attempt and think how much more do they have in them, and then be able to play the different scenarios. Okay, what's the most likely thing to happen? And so how should you play it for the most likely thing to happen? Sometimes you may be wrong, you may end up in fourth place, but overall, maybe long term, if you make those correct predictions, you're going to be right, and you're going to be able to end up on the podium. So if I kind of go back here a little bit to see the numbers some more. So for example, this lifter right here from Canada was trying to go for that 585, and they actually weighed less, so they were trying to pull for the silver medal there. They weren't able to get it. And then right before that, because he did 262, this lifter did 260 from Ireland, Alex. So they pulled 260 to get the 577 and go into the bronze medal. So then this lifter, Canada, is sitting in fourth place. And at that point, they had to decide, are they going to pull for the silver medal or try and defend the bronze medal? So from there, then you go and look at the lot numbers, and you see that Alex has a lot number of 28 and Satvir has a lot number of 25. So in this case, once Alex Kremens pulled a 260, Satvir cannot go down to 260 because they have the lower lot number. So their lowest number is 262. So they would have had to have made that decision of this scenario before Alex pulled that third deadlift and got the bronze medal. They would have to decide and say, hey, if it so happens that Alex pulls and gets into the bronze medal, would you rather pull for the silver medal or would you rather take a smaller jump and defend the bronze medal? So they would have had to have made that decision because this lifter, Satvir, would have had to have pulled first. So they would have had to have pulled 257.5 so that they can get to 580 and jump back up. So at that point, they would have had to have played all the scenarios, talk to the lifter, see what they want to do, and be like, okay, do you want to go 257.5 or even 260 to build up your total a little bit more and put pressure on Alex from Ireland to try and who's trying to steal that bronze medal? Or would you rather wait and see what happens with Alex, see if they make or miss, and then pull big for the silver medal? So I'm not sure. Obviously, we're not back there to know what the coaches are doing to see whether they were keeping track of that, whether they had that discussion, what the decision was on their part. But in the end, Alex got the bronze medal because Satvir ended up missing. From there, you can also see, like, this lifter here tried to go up 10 kilos and looks like they were the lighter lifter. So they would have bumped up. They were actually a lighter lifter than the Canadian lifter, but not lighter than the other Irish lifter. So this lifter with the 567 was trying to go into fourth place. And then we discussed already about this lifter from Japan, Hayato, was trying to take a 25 kilo jump from first to third attempt, which would have given them 577, and they were lighter than this lifter right here. So they were trying to kind of get into that fourth place too. So they're all kind of playing for that bronze medal in case someone missed, like if the Irish lifter Alex missed, or getting the fourth place if he ended up making it. But since all these guys were pulling first because they had the lower numbers, 240, 247, 245, they were trying to get into the bronze medal position and then wait and see what happened. So Alex kind of beat them all out by making his third attempt and making all three deadlifts, whereas everyone else, missed their third attempt. So there's different ways to play that, different ways to predict it, and different scenarios as far as how many lifters there are, body weight, lot number, all that stuff. But one thing that always helps is obviously making your attempts. So Alex missed his third squat, he missed his third bench, but he's able to come back and make his third deadlift. And versus, someone like this lifter right here missed 2 squats and then missed a deadlift. This lifter here, missed 2 squats, missed 2 benches, and missed 2 deadlifts. So it's hard to build up your total that way versus if they were able to, maybe get a little bit more on the bench press, doing a 2.5 kilo jump, maybe get a little bit more on the deadlift, doing a smaller jump, they would have been able to produce a little bit of a bigger total. Their placing may have not changed much, but at least they would have had a bigger total there. So that was an interesting one, something you may want to go look at, and just especially if you're a coach or you're a referee and we want to practice the rules in different scenarios, just go look at this situation right here. Go look at the totals, go look at the body weights, see who's lighter, see who's heavier, go look at the lot numbers, see who has to pull first, who gets to pull last, and see if you can kind of spot how things played out, kind of like how I'm saying of like, this person would have pulled first and this person would have pulled second to try and retake the bronze medal, and see if you can kind of look at a score sheet and see those things, which can be beneficial as a coach when you're looking at the scoreboard live and you're writing down different scenarios on your piece of paper or whatever and then discussing with your lifter, but also as a referee, like just watching what's going on. And if someone like, if this lifter Satvir from Canada had tried to put a change in for 260, then as a referee or a scoring manager, you'd be able to catch and say, no, you're not allowed to do that because you have a lot number of 25 and the other lifter has a lot number of 28, so you cannot go after them. So good practice there looking at that. And then again, team points and best lifter, we'll see how it plays out. We still have a lot more lifters to go, but right now Alberto from Spain is in first place for the best lifter. So the other thing that went on too, you can see again here, is the Congress. So I'll discuss that as well. Just gonna get some water real quick. So you're kind of like in any organization, you have the yearly meeting, and so that's what the IPF Congress is. It's like the yearly meetup of the IPF EC, the committee members, the regional executives, the each member nation's representative, everything like that, and that's when they discuss everything that went on the year as far as president support, vice president support, financial situation, if they're changing any bylaws or constitution, if they're electing anyone for new positions, if they're, taking on bids for different world championships coming up in the future years. They go over all that kinds of stuff. Some of the stuff they also already put on the website as part of the agenda. So if we go over to the IPF website here, and then you can come to Federation. You can go to General Assembly. It's kind of the same name as far as like the yearly meeting, General Assembly, the Congress. So if you go to General Assembly, you can see all the different years here since 2001, and they have like minutes and agenda, some of the different reports, any changes, financial reports, all that stuff here is public for you to see. So I'll toss this link here in the chat as well. And then because I also want to test out my chat app, I'm going to select it here and see how it looks. Let's see if we can figure this out. Yeah, maybe it doesn't want to work. I guess I got to work on that. See what the situation is. Good thing I tested it out. Oh, there we go. Now I can put any of the messages in the chat like that. I'll have to mess with the placing of it. But there you go. Now I can throw in different questions and different links and stuff like that in there, and then should be able to unselect it. Let's see. Unselect. There we go. So just messing around with that. So going back to this, you go to General Assembly, and here under 2021, you see you can have the agenda, the invitation, the legal opinion, clarification, and the minutes from the extraordinary meeting they had at the beginning of the year. So what we want to click on is the agenda, and then that will give you this document of the information it had prepared before the actual meeting happened. So here you can kind of see how a General Assembly goes if you're interested in seeing how it goes. So you can see the order of things and all the stuff they go over: President's report, Vice President, Treasurer, Auditor, Secretary General. They have all the different commission reports. They have all the regional reports. If it is a year where they're have proposed amendments, if it's a year for elections, if they have new member federations coming in, if they have any delinquent member federations they have to make actions on, Hall of Fame, future championships, all that kind of stuff. So some of the stuff is already here. So if you want to go read, for example, the president's address, you can go read everything about how they've been dealing with the pandemic, different improvements they've made as far as working with different groups like United Through Sport and the International Blind Sports Association. They can talk about their virtual meeting they had. And also, if you want to go read the USAPL stuff, you can see some of the stuff discussed by each of them over here. So I'll zoom out so you can kind of see all of it. So you can see basically they're talking about what's going on with the WADA code and what's going on with the IPF and USAPL. So you can read all about that here. If you want to see some more of the president's side of things, you can see stuff about the Ipf World University Cup that's coming next year. You can read about the different things they talk about when it comes to the World Games and so on. So you can read that. Vice President, same thing. They talk some about as far as the updating the Constitution and the bylaws, talking about the WADA code and an update to that for 2021. Their work with CSIS to do all their anti-doping. and that kind of stuff. You can read the treasury report to see how the finances are doing as far as, dealing with the pandemic, not having any world championships. You can see their bank statements here, financial report, their budget for 2022, auditor's report. You got the Secretary General report from my buddy Robert Keller, who switched from USAPL over to Costa Rica, so he can continue to do his work as the Secretary General here. And he talks about other stuff that he's working on. Again, talking about the change in the bylaws and the Constitution, having their online meeting to vote for that stuff that they're doing as far as the World Games, the Fiju World Cup, the stuff they did with the virtual youth sports festival, and then the stuff he's doing with AIMS, the Association of Independent Members of Sport, and how Robert Keller is a part of that and what he's trying to do as far as IOC recognition. So you can actually read that here as far as being a board of directors for AIMS, and that AIMS works on basically helping out those sports that are not IOC recognized. So you can see over here, overall, my work with AIMS is on assisting international federations in achieving IOC recognition. He's like, I shall accept a position on the committee that shall approve federations to be considered for IOC recognition. So that's some of the stuff that he's been working on, talking about how they have, IPF now has 134 member federations, more coming on. One of the recent ones was Jamaica, Portugal, and that they're getting close to 140 member nations. So you can read about that stuff. You have all the commission report. There aren't as many things going on in the commission report since obviously there were no world championships last year. You can read, if you're a coach, some of the stuff in the coaches commission as far as they're trying to have sorry about that. Let me see if my stream went down. My computer wanted to shut down for some reason. I don't know why I was doing that, but it looks like we are back up because I canceled it. So hopefully we didn't lose too much there. Let me see if I can open up my pointer again. This is why I'm practicing my let me open up. So I'm practicing my live streams and seeing all the different things as far as testing out systems and what can go wrong, things that I forget to update. Let me see if I can pull this chat back up real quick, and then everything should be back to normal. All right, we should be good now. So what I was saying is, yeah, you can read the commission's, coaching commission's report talking about how they're trying to do well, they already have the coaches course in La Manga, Spain, but how now they're trying to make it more of a requirement. That here you can see from 2022 onward, all coaches attending international regional events must have the certificate. And then starting with 2024 onward, all assistant coaches would have to have the certificate. So that's something that's kind of coming down the pipeline, something to be aware of. We'll get more information as far as what they're going to provide to each member federation to do the coaching course, or if it's going to be a regional thing and you have to go somewhere within a region and take the coaching course, and then have this ready to go for the head coaches for 2022 and then the assistant coaches in 2024. So you can read all the other stuff in here as far as youth commission, sports for all, entourage commission, medical, law and legislation. Down here, you can also see the new member federations. So the countries approved for provisional membership, you got them here, 10 of them. With Jamaica was one of the founding members who are back. China is one of the new ones that are hopped on. That could be a big one because they have a lot of lifters when it comes to the weightlifting side. So maybe they'll be able to bring a lot of lifters for the powerlifting side. As far as countries preparing their documents, you got Bolivia, Saudi Arabia, and St. Kitts and Nevis. So that's why they're saying they're going to get to 140. You have stuff here on rules, membership, all that kind of stuff. And And I was trying to get down to the schedule. Here's actually the Anti-Doping Commission, so you can see some of the out of competition, in competition testing they've done, both urine and blood testing. So a lot of stuff here that's provided beforehand. You got all the regional reports. And I was trying to get down to the schedule. Here's also the new full members. So you first come on as a provisional. So like these countries are becoming provisional members. And then after a certain amount of time and everything like that, you become full members. So here are the full members: Chile, Haiti, Vietnam, and Brunei. I believe that's how it's pronounced. They announcing the Hall of Fame at the meeting, so I'm not sure who they inducted. And then here we go. Here's the calendar. So we'll skip this year. So for next year, at least the plan for now for bench is Kazakhstan. For classic powerlifting open is South Africa. We got the World Games here in the US. You have the sub juniors and juniors being combined, the raw and the equipped in Ecuador. You have the masters raw and equipped being combined in Canada. And then you have the equipped open here in Denmark. And then 2023, they're taking on bids. So looks like potentially the bench press, which is all combined, will be in South Africa. And then they are also putting in a bid in for the sub junior and junior raw and equipped. So depends if they'll get both of those, or maybe they'll get one of those. And if another country puts in for one of those, they'll give it to them. You still have, the open. The sub junior and junior shouldn't be there. It should just be classic open. It's still open. The masters, the raw and equipped again combined, looks like bid in for Mongolia. We'll see if anyone puts a bid in. And then also you have Ukraine for equipped open. We have our NAPF as well. So I'll just kind of go back up here real quick for those of you in North America. We're trying to do Panama and Puerto Rico. And then in 2023, we're trying to do Cayman Islands, and then unsure for the bench press where it's going to be. And then 2024, basically all open bids for the sub junior and juniors. Looks like Sweden put in for that one. We'll see who puts in for the other ones. As far as information that actually happened at the meeting, I didn't hear anything special. It seemed like it was more of a calm, relaxed meeting, like, about 2 hours, because they weren't voting on any elections or any amendments, constitution, bylaw changes, nothing like that. So it's pretty easy to go through all this, especially if people read all the reports, everything beforehand. They don't have to go over everything again in person. So they might just have like the president's report, vice president, treasurer, secretary general, and then kind of skip all these commission reports, because you can just go and read them afterwards. Skip all these regional reports, because again, you can go read them afterwards, or if you already read them beforehand, you know what's going on. And then they didn't have any amendments or elections. And so it was kind of like, delinquent nations and Hall of Fame. Nothing really as far as USAPL. I know some people were thinking, USAPL is going to get kicked out, or, this is going to happen or that's going to happen, and nothing really happened. As far as I know and I heard, it was kind of just like, them discussing what the situation is, which is kind of what they went in the report, talking about the 2021 WADA code, the IPF accepting that WADA code, and sending out all the emails and information to all the member nations of what changes they need to make if they're not following the code. And then the whole thing with IPF and USAPL, where USAPL did not want to agree to all the terms. They tried to find some kind of middle ground. IPF didn't want to do any middle grounds. So they went to the third-party arbitrator, and then IPF, or the third-party arbitrator, ended up suspending USAPL for 12 months. So they kind of, I guess, went over that just so all the member nations are aware of what's going on in case they hadn't been following along as far as the information that was sent out to the countries in the emails about the WADA code, and then the information that's been posted on the website about the situation and the auditor's report and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of covers everything as far as I know from what happened at the meeting. So it was, like I said, nothing too special that happened at the meeting. Just kind of going over what their situation is and their plan going forward, and then just awareing all their members of what's going on with USAPL. So what we have coming up, like I said, we're going to go back to our normal 3 sessions now for Monday. So in the morning session, you have the junior 43 to 52s, and then the sub juniors, make this a little bigger, sub junior 43 and 50 up to 57. Then the middle session, you have the junior 74s, sub junior 74s and 83s, And then the third session, you have the junior 57 and 63s and the sub junior 63s up to the 93s. So that will be the schedule for tomorrow. And we will try and do another recap for tomorrow. I'll throw this also in the chat in case you want to see it. So we'll do another recap tomorrow, going over those sessions, and we'll break things down hopefully a bit more, be some more interesting stuff. But other than that, that kind of covers this day as far as the one session and the Congress, and I will shut it down there. So hopefully you're all having a good weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow as long as everything lets me kind of do this all over again tomorrow. See you guys.